market is constantly evolving. There's more innovation, there's more growth, but the question remains, can local cloud service providers keep up with this pace? To dive deeper into this question, we're joined by Miqdad, who is leading the enterprise cloud here at Jazz Business. Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Walaikum salam. Bilkul theek. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for being a part of our
Thank
podcast
you for
today.
having me here.
No, it's my pleasure, Miqdad. Before we officially begin, could you just walk us through what exactly you do here at Jazz Business?
So, I mean, like, if you've heard basically of the Garaj platform, I basically had the Garaj platform. So everything that is cloud, data centers, AI, system integration, managed services, I lead that business portfolio. So we do pre-sales activities. We work around with customers to solve their real life problems, and of course, try to basically bring them onto the cloud per se. We've recently undertaken a new journey towards augmented intelligence, as we call AI, and we're trying to infuse a bit of AI within the cloud ecosystem, both in terms of how we position the infrastructure part of it as well as agentic AI. So that's what we do in a nutshell.
That's amazing. But I think AI tak pahunchne ke liye, first businesses really do have to be, ready for cloud and be on the cloud, right? Do you think Pakistan as a nation, we've reached that point?
So as a nation, yes, I feel that we have reached that point. Whether we've done that locally or whether we still have a lot of ambition of actually doing that internationally is a question that I ask myself that keeps me up at night. Why do organizations in Pakistan rely on the hyperscalers of the world and not local cloud platforms? So that is where I feel that we need to basically do business. We need to work in developing our platform, right, and making it ready for the real business world here. Make a platform for fintechs, for instance, for healthcare, making sure that all regulatory requirements are kind of met. So those are things that we are working on the platform with today and trying to get that business ready.
So, जब इसकी बात आ जाती है, do you think it's an issue with like cloud service providers not meeting all of those business expectations that these customers have, or is it simply a matter of trust?
So no, it's not. It's not really trust. A lot of our customers trust Jazz. They trust Jazz basically with their telecommunication services. They trust Jazz with a lot of digital work that they do. So everything that you do on your mobile phone, for instance, you go and you basically engage with platforms like Tamasha, like Rocks, right? So they do engage with platforms that Jazz provides to them.
Yeah.
And there is a certain level of trust that people have in Garaj, right, as a cloud platform. I feel that the market today is more heavily dependent on the DevOps part of what they do in terms of IT operations, rather than really looking at what real business outcomes are actually garnered from a cloud platform like Garaj, for instance. So I think that's a mix in which we as a team, we try to engage with our customers. We try to build a matrix basically on how the ROI transforms to everything with regard to how the developers use a cloud platform, how operations are basically run on a cloud platform, and right down to the infrastructure level. So we try to basically mitigate it at that point.
So, do you think कि एक वो थोड़ी सी rat race लगी हुई होती है कि नहीं, if this is something that's happening internationally, तो we also have to do this. जैसे AI की बात करते हैं, AI globally काफ़ी expand कर गया हुआ है, right? पाकिस्तान में उसका adoption शायद अभी recently होना शुरू हुई है, so we're just starting off on that note. But obviously there are steps to get there. Do you think in the midst of that rat race कि नहीं, we just have to do it, हम business objectives को oversee कर जाते हैं?
So when you say hum, are we referring to the industry in general, or are we
Industry in
referring to Garaj? Really?
Industry in general, yeah.
So no, I feel that the industry like we have is pretty matured, right? So for instance, the e-commerce platforms that we have, the fintech institutions that we have in Pakistan, they're pretty matured. There are EMIs in Pakistan, for instance, who have launched their end-to-end services on a global hyperscaler, right? The only time that they come to a local cloud is where data sovereignty and having data localized data, that becomes mandatory or that's regulated upon them. So we're not in a rat race. What we are in is actually moving forward, right, from where we stand today as providing them infrastructure as a service, where we should be able to actually provide them a platform as a service,
Yeah.
where everything that is the real cloud is offered to them out of a box. Well, all services that they want to, like, for instance, use, right? That could be a query engine, right? That could be some security service. That could be, like, operational services that they intend to, like, use, are actually made available to them out of the box on the Garage platform. So those are the things that the local cloud providers should really move towards. And I feel that the larger players in the current market are moving in that direction. So click of a button, you have the cloud ready, ready for you to start moving your applications onto a cloud. So that's what we aspire to do as Garage, right? Um, we are more or less there, right? But like, we need that last push, and that is what would really make us ready for the AI world, right? So AI is not just about having having GPUs in place or having a data center that is like rightly cooled, for instance. AI is with regard to how you're going to move those LLMs onto the GPUs that you have, right? How is it that cloud providers like Garage is enabling you to actually do that? How do you move a mobile ready application, right, from the time where a developer builds it to the time that it is ready basically for the UAT cycle, right? Platforms like Garage are ready for that, right? Like I said, we are headed in that direction. We've teamed up with a lot of partners within the ecosystem, right? And the trajectory is there. The real outcome should be business. How soon can you actually bring a business service live? What is the uptime that you can guarantee to that business? And in the technology world, there are challenges that everybody faces. How soon can you help those businesses overcome those challenges? So those should be the questions that every business should ask, and not really about how soon can they deploy resources on a cloud.
So Miqdad, you mentioned that we have the infrastructure ready. It's the platform वाला part जहाँ पे अभी थोड़ी सी growth चल रही है. But until we reach that level, how can we or cloud service providers such as Garaj actually help those businesses?
So there are 2 or 3 ways that we as Garage are trying to help these institutions. A lot of these programs are actually taken out from an incubation center somewhere or the other in the world. So we have started working with incubation centers, right, to let them basically get a feel of or a lay of the land, basically, as I like to basically call it. The other thing that we've started to do is started to engage with the larger platforms in Pakistan, the larger industries in Pakistan, right? That could be the financial industry, that could be the healthcare industry, a lot of manufacturing concerns, right? Who use cloud-ready applications today, right? To interact with their teams, right, and give them that level of confidence that, look, there is a local platform that meets those requirements that you have, right? And that can actually be done with a lot of try and buy programs, for instance, right? That can be done with a lot of hand holding, where our DevOps teams actually go sit with them, interact with them, engage with them, understand what their problems are with regard to operations, with regard to getting the next build out there, right? So we started working with them at that ground level and not just having boardroom discussions or basically discussions with a CXO somewhere. So we've started to do that. What we also want to start doing is actually bring this program down to a university level. So there are a large number of OEMs who have actually started off right in the university in garages. Right? Why can we not do that? Give that level of comfort to, for instance, SaaS providers. right? Where they're willing to basically pay top dollar to go and move their applications onto the hyperscalers of the world, right? Why can we not work with them, right? Where we localize everything, including the denomination of the currency that we are talking about, and get them to basically move these SaaS applications onto a platform like Garaj. So we started on that journey. We started that journey about a couple of years ago. We've matured on it, and that's work in progress that we start doing at an industry level, at an incubation level, and at an education level. So that's what we are doing as Garaj.
No, that's amazing. I mean, there's so many startups out there that are doing amazing work, but obviously, due to limited resources and lack of opportunities, I would say they're unable to grow as much as they should. So it's great that a cloud service provider such as Garaj is giving them the platform and enabling them to do that. But on that note, I think the more we grow or the more technology evolves and the more we start integrating it into our businesses, there are obviously certain constraints involved as well, may it be through regulations, may it be through data protection and all those concerns, right? How is Garaj in particular managing and navigating through all of that?
Perfect question. So let me start answering that basically using an example. So we recently bought a large digital bank onto the Garaj platform. And for a bank to actually operate, they need to meet all the local regulatory requirements that they have. It's a fairly large digital bank, right? So the onus was on them to very quickly launch their services and make sure that they have that 24/7 uptime. Garaj basically helped them do that in 2 or 3 ways, right? We worked with them on a local policy level to see what, for instance, PII, which is personally identifiable information, needs to reside on ground here in Pakistan. We dovetailed our platform with the likes of AWS, right? Where today we can offer those AWS services, right, to this digital bank. Whereas they see Garaj in front, they see a single platform, a single sign-in ability, right? But get the best of the worlds from, a large hyperscaler. What we have also started doing with them is started to enable their teams, right, to start using the platform not just as a virtualization engine, right, but to actually use it as a cloud platform, right? So whether it is Kubernetes clusters that they want to bring in, whether it is security in terms of WAF, in terms of DDoS that they want to look at a virtual level, right? These are managed services that we've started to go out and offer to these customers. And that, Manahil, really brings that difference on how they trust Jazz, how they trust Garaj, right? To not just be a vendor for them, but to truly partner with them basically on the cloud journey. So that's the first steps that we've taken with them. We're doing similar. We've taken similar initiatives on the healthcare industry, but these are truly highly regulated industries. Right? I feel that the market out there should start trusting local cloud providers a bit more. Right? So they do trust cloud, right? The need at their end is for them to actually trust local providers. Right? And we're getting there. So the team is working on it. We do that 9 to 5. We engage with those customers, and we try to bring them on board. So those are initiatives that we are taking.
No, absolutely. I feel like global trend इसी side पे जा रहा है where data sovereignty and the importance of data sovereignty is highlighted in almost every other conversation. Moving forward, especially considering the global environment and how there's always something going on, how do you think data sovereignty will essentially play a role in all of this?
So for a minute, let's just deviate a bit from your question, right? So not just data sovereignty. Data sovereignty is is something that needs to be mandated at a government level.
Yeah.
And they'll do it, whether it is your DPI, your digital personal identity, whether it was the PII that I earlier mentioned, that would happen, right? You need to keep residential data or local data within the country.
Yeah.
That's done. That should be. How are local providers, right, building themselves up, right, where they just don't be an infrastructure play, right, but actually act as a platform and act as a security play for these companies to actually come on board. And that requires synergies at both ends, right? So it's not just the onus is not just on cloud platforms, right? It's on the new, for instance, SaaS providers in Pakistan. Why is it that the next supply chain organization in Pakistan, right, does not want to use Garaj as a test bed for their application, and they're willing to basically spend top dollar on the hyperscalers? The current market economics, right, tells us that it takes anywhere between 10, 12, 14, 16 weeks as a norm for you to bring infrastructure into the country and make it just ready for you to start deployment. The cloud can be ready in a matter of minutes for you to start deploying your services, right? That's the trust we need people to start having on the local platforms. And then, of course, localization, data sovereignty, all of that basically is a mix which helps us push the local cloud into the paradigm. So that's more or less it.
So Miqdad, data sovereignty obviously gives you a lot of control as well, right? That is the most important factor behind it. But what should industry leaders essentially prioritize apart from control?
I feel 2 or 3 things, right? One, whether when they team up with a cloud provider, they get the level of resilience that they need. So that is one thing that they should prioritize over everything else. So really, resilience is one. The second one is observability, right? So how do they basically make sure that every application that they host onto the cloud, right, is it visible to them, that they can manage, they have more control over that environment. And third, which I feel is very important, is the amount of scalability that that platform can actually provide to them. So these are 3 areas where I feel that industry outside should bank on cloud providers, plus in general, right? So observability, resilience, and scalability that they get.
Perfect. On that note, we'll end this podcast. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for tuning in. We'll catch you in the next one.